Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Tips to Top the Unofficial Bar. Today we have Mr. Upali Gooneratne, a very senior member in the Sri Lankan Bar, and he's a President Counsel, and he's also a solicitor for England and Wales, and also he is a barrister and solicitor for Tasmania, Victoria, New South Wales in Australia. And he is going to share with us tips to top the unofficial bar. I thank you for your time for this interview, sir.
You're most welcome.
You have a lot of experience in this profession, both locally and internationally. But let me begin with the discussion with your professional career at the beginning, as a law student. And the period you enter the law, enter the profession. Would you like to first tell us about those things?
I at that time entered law college in 1967. I was the youngest male student and youngest advocate student. There was only one person who was younger than me, a lady law student who had done her proctors, who was doing her proctors.
How old were you at that time?
18.
18 years. So, in the law college, you was the secretary to the LSU.
Yes, I was. In 1970. That was going to be the 50th law medical year, so that was very important, highly contested year.
Okay. And you enroll as a lawyer in 1972. That is also quite important because you happen to be the first advocate of the Republic of Sri Lanka, where you took oaths exactly on 23rd May 1973.
72.
So 1972.
Yeah.
Tell us about those period, the time you spent as a law student, the things you do, and under whom you did your apprentice.
Yeah. So I joined like that, and most of the advocate students at that time were graduates. I remember the person ahead of me was MA, who was from Nalanda, Mrs. Sugutamuni Nyanasiri, who was a teacher or principal. Then there was another person who was a doctorate. So I and maybe one or two others had come from school. Others were all arts graduates, all graduates who had been dismissed from government service in the 1968-66 strike.
So you held number of positions, important positions in both Sri Lanka and international level. You held the position of the secretary, vice president, and even the president of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. You were the president of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka in 1999 to 2001.
Yeah, I think I was the youngest president also, and the 2 years before that I was to come, and I for some other reason I decided to step down for somebody else to contest that year.
And you was the chairman of the Legal Aid Commission of Sri Lanka from 2001 to 2005. And you had also had important position as a Deputy Secretary General of the International Bar Association.
6 years.
1992 to 1990. And you was a member of the Executive Council of Law Asia till 2005, from 1999.
Yes.
This shows that being a lawyer, one's talent is not only limited to the courthouse. You can do a lot of things. Tell us about those things, because the general perception of an average law student is that you become a lawyer, you take oaths and you go to court, that's it.
Yeah.
But whereas someone studying about you, you have done so many things nationally and internationally. You have been invited to a particular occasion to Pakistan.
6 juris conference by the Pakistan government.
Tell us about how important a law student or lawyer to have that international exposure, because you have represented Sri Lanka in an important occasion internationally that brought reputation to the country.
Yeah.
Tell us about those things.
You see, now as you said, I was secretary 87 to 89, and at that time there were the standards, in my view, with all respect to those who held office at that time, secretaries, you see, some people were not very happy. So they asked me to come as secretary, and at that time I was building this house. So it was important for me to build this house, because I was before that when I came to Sri Lanka, I was in a company. Many people don't know this. I started my when I came back from Japan. Before that I was in Japan. So as Secretary General of the Asian Legal Research Institute. So therefore, and also I organized a law conference in Japan called the First Asian Lawyers Conference in 1981, where Mr. Desmond Fernando came to help me and advise me, because I was not so experienced, and Mr. Dayapera was the keynote speaker. So those things, they thought, now I could give a different dimension to the activities of the Bar Association, and also the record keeping and administration and things like that, because I had to administer the Asian Legal Research Institute in Japan.
And we cannot miss to talk about the Nitya magazine when we talk about your name. Nitya magazine now 20 years completed. 22 years completed with your idea since 1990. Tell us about that, because it is very important, as we learn even as a duty of lawyer, to share the knowledge, give the knowledge to others. From the Nitya magazine, what you have done, I think, as you have invited intellectuals in the profession to share their knowledge through articles to others. So as law students, we refer Nitya magazine whenever we want to write something, or we want to refer a particular question, because if you take the last 22 editions of Nitya magazine, it has so much of resources, information. Tell us how important that for the profession, and how what was the motive you had to have this for 22 years long?
Actually, it is not. It is actually successive Supreme Chief Justices have volunteered and thought it fit to obtain sponsorship for to give free copies to the judges, entire members of the judiciary, because they most of them had told me that this should reach them. The important thing about Nitya is that it is in Sinhala.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I would have done it even in Tamil, and I couldn't find anybody to help me with a Tamil journal. So in 1978, in Asian Legal Research Institute in Japan, I was my paper for my fellowship was history of the legal profession. So the legal profession in Sri Lanka, it's past, present, and future or something. So there I said that now this was 78. 72 we started teaching, law in Sinhala. But by 78 I realized that there were going to be, I have predicted that there will be two classes of lawyers: those who have studied English and will have the advantage of using English material, and those who are unable to do so. So my idea was to help those other people who did not have access to, or were not able to directly read from English in English. So in fact, when I want to stop it at one stage, some lawyers came and said, "Sir, you can come you see, and don't stop it." It was in Kandy. They came and met me, and I said, if you say that you live on this, I think my purpose, object has not been served. I did not want you to cite from Nitya. I wanted you to read the single summary of a judgment and then read the English one, so that once you know that, you will be able to appreciate. So this was to induce people to read judgments in English that I started in Sinhala.
So you also have contributed to this profession by writing.
Yes.
That is, I think, quite important, because not many lawyers find time to do that or willing to do that. You was once the editor of the Asian Law Journal since from 1978 to 1983. And you have written a number of other publications as well. Tell us, it is how important being a lawyer and write things, because generally you are sharing the knowledge with the profession.
Yeah, you see, we have a very outdated system of profession. You see, continuing legal education, CLE, or now they call it the continuing professional development, CPD, is still not correctly, is not appreciated here. When I came as wanted to contest as secretary, I was talking about CLD, and that lawyers must, contribute every year. They must improve their knowledge and show that they are worthwhile to continue a practice in the next year. And for that, you have to write or attend seminars. Either you attend seminars and improve your knowledge, or you share knowledge. So this was misunderstood by some senior members. They said, "Do you expect us to go back to law college again?" So, but still we haven't got a system where there is a compulsory CPD, that you can't practice the next year if you haven't got your CPD points.
I see.
If you introduce this, I know many people will object to it because they don't know the standards in other countries. Our standards have gone so far, are so low compared to the other countries. And one indicator is, those days a lawyer from here could go to England and sit half a paper in the bookkeeping and accounts paper and become a solicitor. But today you can't do that. And they have now different classes of countries. And we have gone right down because our standards are so low, in my view.
Yes, indeed.
Also, we missed one thing. You were talking about how I started. I think I said it's 23rd of May. I and one Mr. M.M. Zohir, we were the first to take oaths under the new constitution, because we didn't have to take an oath of allegiance to the Queen. So I was the first one who took an oath of allegiance to the Republic of Sri Lanka.
Sir, now you are in the country very reputed a criminal lawyer. But have you had an idea when you begin your career as a law student to be a criminal lawyer?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yes. At the age of 13, when I was in the 8th grade, I think it was Tale of Two Cities, which was done by the father principal. I was in a Jesuit school out of Colombo. I was so taken up by something that is in that book, and I thought, that there is something where lawyers can defend and also help innocent people. And I am myself a victim. By the age of 14, I was falsely charged in the magistrate court of Gaul. It came up to the Supreme Court. And had I been, and that came up before a very difficult judge, Justice Sri Skandaraja, who was famous for ordering whipping, etc. So had I been convicted of that, a false charge, of something done by other people who did not have the guts to own it up, and I, as a 13-year-old boy, I did not want to just sacrifice them and also betray them. But if they didn't have the guts, and they were teachers, 2 teachers, old boy teachers. So I think the man who made the false complaint knew that they were running towards me, and I would have recognized them. They were trying to get me as a witness. I refused to be a party to this. Then my father, with his poor salary, he was a salaried man, he had to retain lawyers in Gaul, retain lawyers in Supreme Court, and coincidentally, it was Mr. Anand Vijaysekhar. Later I remembered when I saw him, I went and asked him, "Did you appear in a case like this?" He's the one who appeared for me, who became president after me, of course.
So the whole story inspired you to be a...
of course, yes. I call it my baptism. At the age of 13, I was chosen for medicine to be a criminal lawyer, and then in the next year I was charged falsely, and that strengthened my resolve.
So you said you came from a normal family, you're not from a son of a proctor or son of a solicitor, but you ventured this profession and you went to different countries. You in UK, you in Australia, Japan, but you never settled down there. You came to this country to serve.
Yeah, of course.
Tell us, that is important, isn't it, to serve the country. Tell us about that as well, because now the trend is that people tend to go there, stay there, without coming here and serve the country. Tell us how important that is.
selected Secretary General of the Asian Legal Research Institute in October 1977, even before I was 30 years. And I had only my advanced level, but the other people who were called for the interview, almost all had 2 degrees, because in most countries, law degree is a second degree. I remember one from Hong Kong who had a Hong Kong LLB and LLM, someone from India who had from Cornell, LLB from Bombay and LLM from Cornell. So with all this, at the end, after interviewing everybody, they selected me. I had only advanced level. I don't know why they selected, but then I continued as Secretary General, and he came here when I decided to come back to Sri Lanka. He's a very, in this old age Japanese, with powerful Japanese people, they don't go behind their employees, they dictate terms. But he came to Sri Lanka to take me back, me and my wife and my daughter. But I said, I'm sorry, I can't come. But he said, then take, he had actually tried to buy 3 tickets. My daughter, who's a lawyer today, she was only maybe one year or something. So then he said, okay, if you don't want to work for me, come and enjoy your holiday. So then I thought, so that was Japan 77, then I left that and came to Sri Lanka. 80 I did solicitors. Of course I went from Japan and did this half paper or something, and I was very comfortably selected there. Didn't want to stay in England. 1994 I had another one, Mr. Jnanadasan, who is now an ASG, I think, at an additional Solicitor General. 2 of us went to Australia and got ourselves admitted to Tasmania, the bar of Tasmania. Then after that, I of course got I think he also got himself admitted. So still, people who went after me. In fact, I 3 days ago or 4 days ago, before I came to Sri Lanka, I stayed with a lawyer who after me got my advice and joined this, became a solicitor in England, in Sydney. So they all went and settled down. But I am here.
I think you're serving the country, which is a very good thing, and you're sharing the knowledge. That is very important for this profession at this point, because as you said, the quality is somewhat debatable in the profession. So let's come to the next questions about the unforgettable memories of your professional career from which others can learn. I'm sure you have hundreds of those examples and experience. Would you like to share few stories with us?
You see, when you're talking about your experiences, you may sometimes tend to talk about yourself. So I'll try my level best to avoid it. One example, one of the unforgettable things was in 1974, when the new High Court system started. I was retained in a murder case in Mathura, and I went and a friend of mine said, come and stay with us. And he didn't know the whole case went on for 26 days.
26 days? Continuously?
Continuously. And then later the joke in Mathura was, if I come, firstly to find out whether I have come for a jury trial. And before inviting me to stay. So in that case, it was two rival parties in a place called Tirisanghandiya, in a place, I forget the name of the place now, and where about 13-14 people have been killed on either side. So at the end of the case, jury retired, and I was a heavy smoker at that time. I was smoking up and pacing up and down. The 2 accused called me and said, sir, then sir ta karanna puluwan ewa kala iwarai. Then tiyenne ellum gassiyane api. Sir, then ek gana kalpana karanna epa. So that later I reflected and found that that means they were happy, and they said ellum gassiyane api.
Because they were so happy that they felt that you have done a great job.
I think so. And that's a lesson also I have learned from Mr. Perera. He says, do your best and forget about it after that. Don't think of the result. And then the jury brought a verdict of 3-4, and because it's not a legal verdict. And later we found that one or two of the jurors knew. It's called Malimbada, Tirisanghandiya. It's called Tirisanghandiya. They knew that our people are supposed to have done it, and then that's why there was a jury. There was this division. So that is one. And the second thing I'll use, if you ask me unforgettable incidents in 87 or 88 when I was secretary of the bar, in the history of our profession, for the first time, a lawyer died in the custody of the law. A lawyer called Vijayadas Rachi was taken into custody, and he had about 101 injuries, post-mortem revealed. And then the body was brought. We brought the body to Hursdorf, and later it was taken to Kalubovila, some undertakers, and it was handed over to us. Then by 2 o'clock in the morning, police had come and airlifted the body because they wanted to prevent us from going in possession. You see, and then when I had to go and report this. My president was Mr. H.L.D. Silva, so he was very leading civil lawyer and appellate lawyer, so I had to go to the magistrate court, inform this to the judge, and the DIG, a certain DIG was the person who had done it, and then the judge wanted to charge him for contempt. So, and the inquest proceedings are not judicial proceedings, so I had to indicate to the judge that there was no way he could be charged for contempt, though he had violated, and he acted in contempt of the court. But so that was where I have to assist court and tell not to charge him for contempt.
Though it is not in your favor in terms of
the
outcome. Yes, sir. You are today, with all the hard work you have done throughout your career as a law student, as a young lawyer, you are a successful counselor and well-known person in this profession.
Somebody else's judgment, that is.
Tell us your secrets behind this success and the guiding principles that leads you to this level in the profession.
There were, you see, because I think I came without a silver spoon in my mouth, so I had to work hard. So that is the secret. And when it was like 20 years, I would have put in like law teaching here, abroad, bar activities, everything. I put into those years what a person of double my age would have done. You see, because I had to work hard, and then I became sub-warden of the hostel because I didn't have a place to stay. Fortunately, I was selected sub-warden when the students were older than myself, except 4 or 5, I think. So I was interviewed by Sir Cyril D'Souza, and so like that, you see, I had to find opportunities, and then Mr. R.K.W. Gunasekara, I was the first tutor appointed to law college, because those days if you had a degree you could become a lecturer. He knew that I think he knew that I had contributed a lot to what he called the corporate, I think he said corporate life of the law college.
And your degree was first class honours?
No, that is in the second year. So then, so I was then, what he did was he appointed me a tutor, so because I couldn't be a lecturer. So I am grateful to him because he put me on the correct track.
So with all this experience and in fact your life is exemplary life for others to study and learn, those who want to be a top lawyer. Your life was your path to this level.
No, it was very difficult. Very difficult. I was discouraged by, when I want to stay in Colombo, people ask me, is your father a lawyer? I said, no. Have you got uncles? No. Who will give you briefs? Because those days an advocate could not even do anything. We couldn't have any dealings with a client except through a proctor. So the only people who could survive as young advocates at that time were people who had family patronage, which I didn't have. I had no house. Fortunately, the hostel subwardenship helped me. The law college tutorship helped me, and worked hard, very hard.
In fact, the value of this kind of things is important for, because we can learn from you, not only the law students, also the young lawyers. So finally, my question: what is your advice to young lawyers and law students who are thinking to become a good lawyer like you? What is your advice?
I don't know about good lawyer. Anyway, you see, there's no shortcut to hard work. I didn't have the advantages of some people whose fathers or anybody was a lawyer. And at that time, I had a choice of going to another city where my family was living. So then my father said, come. I didn't have a car even. So then I said, I told my father, I like to be a small fish in a big ocean, not a big fish in a small place. So I think that was my philosophy in life. And I had very hard times. There were conspiracies. The constitution was amended to prevent me from becoming a president of the bar. And I became president. I think I'm the youngest president of the bar in 1999, at the age of 50. I would have, and after having given my chance to somebody else. And yeah, so all these worked because I didn't come from that upper class.
So I think the more challenges you had, the more achievements you had. I think so. I think it's a very fruitful interview with you, sir. I should be very thankful for you sharing your knowledge and experience. I'm sure those who watch this interview will learn from what you said in this interview. I again thank you very much for your.
You're most welcome. But may I also add, I have seen at your request some of the interviews you have done. I must congratulate you for having this thought of helping young lawyers and law students. You see, so I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.